The soul has a gravity. Why you keep repeating the same patterns? What if you're not cursed, just predictable? What if it's not fate punishing you, but a hidden force inside you, pulling you back? Again and again, you leave the relationship, you change careers, you move to a new city, you start over with hope. But somehow, the same feelings return, the same fears creep in, the same endings unfold, just wearing new names. Not because you're weak or doomed, but because you're orbiting, pulled not by choice, but by something unspoken at the center of your being. This is called repetition compulsion, a dynamic where the psyche, especially after trauma, unconsciously recreates old wounds. Not to suffer again, but to master what once was overwhelmed for you. You might be the child who was never seen, now drawn to partners who ignore you. You might have been abandoned, and now cling tightly to those who pull away. You might give too much, trying to prove you're worthy of being chosen. Each repetition is not random. It's a silent plea. Maybe this time, if I play the part perfectly, the story will end differently. But it never does, because playing out the same pattern doesn't change it. It only deepens the groove. In ancient Indian philosophy, that groove has a name: karma. Not as punishment, but as momentum, the accumulated energy of thought, action, and intention that sets your future in motion. In Vedanta, these are called vasanas, that is, latent impressions embedded in your subtle body. They shape how you perceive the world before you've even made a conscious decision. They guide your reactions, filter your experiences, and whisper suggestions you mistake for instinct. Karma isn't some mystical force from outside. It's the echo of yourself, moving through time, and unless something more grounded interrupts that echo, you'll keep following it. In the Abrahamic traditions, repetition isn't just psychological, it's spiritual. In the Bible, the Israelites wandered in the desert for 40 years, not because the path was long, but because their hearts were not ready. They returned again and again to rebellion, to fear, to forgetfulness, until the generation that had left Egypt died. Only those who had been transformed entered the promised land. Repetition is not always punishment. Sometimes it's purification. God doesn't remove the pattern. He waits until you are no longer the person who needs it. So, how do you stop? Not by force, not by rewriting the past, and not by becoming someone else. You stop by becoming heavier than the reflex, heavier than the shame, heavier than the story. You become still, present, and grounded. This means that when the familiar temptation returns, the one that always pulls you in, you pause, you breathe, you see it. And this time, you do not follow. Breaking the cycle isn't about fixing others. It's about reclaiming the gravity of your own soul. It's in the small moments, when you feel the urge to explain yourself, and you don't. When someone triggers your old wound, and you sit with it instead of acting on it. When your old identity calls you back, and you choose to remain unknown just long enough to be reborn. That is the beginning of real change, not because the pain disappears, but because it no longer defines your movement. You don't need to be perfect to change your life. You need to be present. Present enough to feel the loop, aware enough to watch it move through you, and willing enough to stand still while it tries to pull you back in. You are not here to orbit forever. You are here to become a new center of gravity. And when you do, the pattern cannot hold you anymore, because you no longer match it. You no longer need it. You've become something it cannot pull. The soul repeats its lesson until it no longer has to.